It's going to come.
Ned Stark's going to bring it.
Let's go to our phone lines. Let's talk to Mr. Zamphier. What's up, Mr. Zamphier?
Yo. So
Thanks
I was wanting to talk. Well, I ask you guys about what unique does XIV even do? Can you guys name anything?
What do you mean?
What does it? So in the grand scheme of MMOs, Zamphier, what you're talking about is, compared to all of the other online games out there, what does FF14 do that is unique unto itself?
Yeah.
How does it change?
Think of a single thing.
Right. How does it change the genre of MMOs?
Can I answer before Nika does?
No,
because
I'd actually like Nika to go first, considering that FF11 and 14, I'm pretty sure, are her only experiences in MMO. So she, of all people, would know.
It's 11 that I guess had done more things, but 14, yeah. So when I'm thinking about it now, because 11 was the one that first had to have multiple jobs on one character.
Yeah,
that was like the biggest deal. 14.
Maybe think on it, Nika.
Yeah,
for a
I'll
sec.
come back. I'll get back to you.
Juxta, go ahead then.
I was gonna say the new job, or all your jobs on one character.
Yep.
That's the biggest unique thing.
But that was
11.
but again, that was 11.
11's dead. Okay.
No, but
may it rest in pieces.
You can't discount the timeline of history, because we're talking about what does FF14 bring that's unique to the table, and the servers are still up for FF11. So
they brought that to the table.
Exactly.
But again, if you're looking for an MMO to start, you're not going to start that one. Like, people are like, okay, I want an MMO where I don't have to make 20 characters to play all 20 jobs. You're going to play 14.
Matter.
You're not going to play 11.
Nika, it doesn't
that's the
matter.
Unique thing that 14 has.
It doesn't matter. Derivative is still fucking derivative. If you're taking it from another game, even if you made the game, it's still fucking derivative.
There you go, Paul Bunyan. Changing jobs on the fly. You can just change wherever you want.
Okay, fine.
11 doesn't have that.
I will accept that.
Yes,
I will accept that
Yep.
about 14.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You got anything else, Juxta?
I was gonna say story-driven content instead of having it just be shitty like World of Warcraft. But now you're gonna say
no. Yeah, technically, I think if you're gonna credit that to any MMO, you got to give the nod to
11.
Star Wars: The Old Republic, because they did the story-driven shit
first.
Way before FF14 had what you could even call a pasted together story. The FF14 1.0 story was in-fucking-comprehensible, mostly because the guy who was originally writing it and making it had no idea what the fuck he wanted, and then they fired him and brought in another guy who took it in a different direction and blew it the fuck up.
Blew the world up, literally.
So it was only really story-driven once we got to the other side of the calamity. Once 2.0 happened, the first real tangible, honestly, the first real tangible hook into getting us into the story is that last cutscene of 1.0. There's nothing, I guarantee you, because you haven't gone and watched, I know that, but I guarantee you, if you tried to invest yourself in the story of 1.0, you could not fucking do it. You couldn't do it. Not without knowing what comes in 2.0. There was just nothing to hold on to. Nothing. So the idea of story-driven content making an MMO or being the reason that somebody wants to play through an MMO, I think you've got to give that nod to Star Wars: The Old Republic.
But again, his question wasn't what does FF14 do first. It's what's unique in an MMO when you're looking for an MMO to play.
Right, but
and I feel like, you can say, yeah, Star Wars: The Old Republic was the first one to have a really good story. If you're looking for an MMO with a good story, you're going to pick 14.
Okay,
that's just how it is.
But see, other games have
started
started to...
Star Wars? No one.
Other people have started to do that well, too, like with Legion and their artifact system thing and the way that they're doing their story now. That's just, it's a lot better than the end of Heavensward and all of Stormblood.
Hang on. What on a technical level did FF14 deliver with that story that changed MMOs, the way that MMOs move forward? Is there anything? Because the best I can tell, it comes down to writing, cutscenes, and the execution of those cutscenes both in engine and out of engine.
What about
that's it?
That's
really it.
The one time that FF14 got really, really ballsy and killed off one of the leaders of one of the main cities. Remember when the Sultana died?
Oh,
guys,
you mean when she didn't die?
So I mean, honestly, like. You know,
But if you look at some of the structures, like we complained about the raid structure, but when it first came out in like Realm Reborn, like the 24-man structures where you had to split into 3 parties, that was pretty cool. Like you would actually have mechanics where like one party would go here and one party would go here. It was different. It was something we hadn't really seen before.
Are you playing a different 24-man raid? Because we never split off except for Atmos, which we didn't.
Okay. Also, I'm going to give her a pass when she says, "When have we ever seen anything like that ever before?" You know,
except for every fucking other MMO,
like every WoW expansion.
Seriously,
ever,
dude. Yeah.
Nika, look,
with the big instance raids, have you go in like different directions and everything?
Except, all right. What specifically? Give us one of those directions that we took.
Well, yes, they did, but they weren't so explicit with what the fuck they wanted from you, and you had to kind of infer some shit as a player. Like, right? Like, there's a whole big room of enemies, and only specific ones will get you to advance. Think of it kind of salvage-ish, right? Like, that's the way that a lot of raids were designed for a long time, and it came down to the player ending up testing it. Now the raids that we get, we're handheld till we get to the boss, and it's a straight line till we get to the boss. There's no variation. There's nothing, and Square Enix did not bring that in an iota with FF14. So, I would say, if anything, their rating is the most derivative thing that they've got going.
Yeah, and Nika, the only time that you quote-unquote split in Crystal Tower was, like Juxta said, when you had to do Atmos, and you were just on different platforms, but still in view of each other.
Yeah, but there was also, like, different parts where, like, different parties had to protect different pots, or, like, different...
That's just...
That's a boss fight, Nika.
That's
literally a boss fight.
In some of the... Was it Alexander raids? You had to go down different, those little chutes, and you'd split in 2 different directions. You wouldn't even be on the same platform. You'd be in total opposite
but you're still doing the same thing.
That's just rating. That's not new.
That's not new.
That's not new.
I'm sorry, Nika.
And actually, in 1.0, and I think Cutter's Cry, the original 1.0 had 2 people dropped on one side, 2 people dropped on the other, and you actually kind of were doing different things.
That's not unique to rating, Nika.
That was 1.0 dungeons.
Okay, not unique to dungeons.
That's not unique.
I promise you, at some point in the past, an MMO has had a dungeon where 2 party members had to split off from 2 other party members.
Again, we're not asking about what 14 did first. We're asking about what's unique if you're looking for an MMO.
But that's not unique. Yeah, it's not unique. It's fucking derivative.
That's fair. But then again, bringing back something saying, oh, probably at some point in time, maybe an MMO has done that before.
No, they
is not telling me anything.
Have.
Okay, sure, but if a relevant one that someone's going to pick right now, I see that WoW has some of that, sure. But if you're saying that some MMO somewhere has done it, that's not relevant to the conversation.
And I can't fucking stand being in the same room with her.
Look, it is about every MMO that's come before it, because if another MMO did it and you're just stealing it, that's fucking derivative. There's no creativity that's involved with that shit.
Here's a great quote from the chat, Nika. It says, "I think Nika needs to join some of us for a WoW raid for a few months to get perspective." You want to know who said that, Nika?
I know, Strife. God.
All right.
Strife has been trying to get us all to play WoW for like 8 months. I'm not listening to him anymore about anything to do with WoW.
But I mean,
Strife is probably the smartest person in your raid, Nika.
Are we really trying to split hairs over splitting the fucking party up? Like, that's not even a mechanic that's unique to an MMO. That mechanic has been done in Final Fantasy games for fucking eons.
Every D&D game you ever do.
Fucking Christ, yeah. Like, it is like almost a goddamn trope in RPGs. So no, I don't accept that. I don't accept that at all.
Do we still have our caller?
Yeah, we should. We should.
Yeah. Caller, did you have something in mind that you think that 14 does unique?
14 has nothing unique to it. The story's not the best. The class switching's been done in Korean MMOs for years before 14 did it. Nothing in XIV is unique. The raids aren't unique. The most unique thing about XIV is the overall polish it has.
See, and I think, and you know what? I think that this is a valid criticism, because 14, I think, at a lot of points, very much feels like a game that has been designed through feedback and through focus group testing and through the safest possible marketing decisions. I mean, even though they're goddamn incomprehensible to us, but I mean, like, that's where you get like conservative, like really, and it's not like politically liberal or conservative, but these very conservative decisions, like put it on the Mrs. Freshley's package because that's going to be the widest, the thing that's seen by the most people. They're decisions that really only serve, like, they really only serve to just try to win in the numbers game, and I don't know
what looks good on paper.
Yeah, exactly. And I just don't know that that's the best way to try to make things move with your MMO. There's all this emphasis and all of this attention by Square Enix being paid to trying to attract new players. We've identified that 100 different times in 100 different ways, straight from their marketing to the way that they design content. Everything about this game is not designed for those that have been playing it for the longest. It is designed for those that have been playing it the shortest. And those are the people that are able to reap the most benefit out of what Square Enix has been designing over the past year and a half. And I think that's the wrong way to cultivate an online community. That's the wrong way to cultivate an audience around an MMO. You have that initial glut of people that you want to attract. Their opportunity to do that was 2.0. And here's the thing. I think Square Enix is fucking greedy. I think they're super greedy because they should have had this longer opportunity that they've made now between 2.0, Heavensward, and Stormblood to try to, over 3 fucking expansions, attract new players. But the thing that they don't remember, or that they may not realize, is that they had that time once already. That was called 2010 through 2012. That's all you get. That's all you fucking get. You get 3 fucking years to try to get people in the door. After that, you got to try to keep them there. And this is exactly what happens when you don't do that. Everyone who's been playing this game for longer than a year has jack shit to do for 6 months at a fucking time. And if you want to tell me that that's not frustrating, or if you want to tell me that that's an appropriate way to space out content in an MMO, I'm going to look at you and tell you how fucking dead wrong you fucking are. That is a bad way, and the numbers prove it. The engagement proves it. The number of people logging in every day proves it. Someone tell me I'm wrong. Not you, Zamphier. I'm not trying to pick on you, but the thing, someone somewhere try to tell me I'm fucking wrong about this. It's bad. It's bad for the game, and the fact that Square Enix burned that time fucking around with 1.0 and relaunching it from 2.0 onward. It should have been about the people that you got. The people that stayed there from 1.0 and the people that you got from 2.0.
This can kind of lead to my other point. XIV will go free to play. I can guarantee you. Not full free to play, though.
I'm telling you, if 11 is not free to play by now, 14 will never be.
Here's why XIV will go free to play. Just like Guild Wars 2 did, they can sell you the $20 expansion for Heavensward and Stormblood.
Yep.
Getting everyone in the base game, but guess what? Pay $5 for Dark Knight. Pay $5 for Machinist. Pay $5 for Astra. Pay $10 for Red Mage. Pay $10 for
the structure.
What 14
pay $15 a month for all of it.
What 14 has that 11 doesn't have, Nika, is if you were to take away the subscription model, how does it make money? 11 doesn't have a cash shop. 14 does.
Yeah.
And with the amount of stuff that they have been continuously churning out more and more and more, they absolutely could take this free to play and make the money off the cash shop.
And I actually think that Zamphier brings up a really interesting point, because with what they did with the battle changes, they could very easily say, look, this is going free to play. You can pay to unlock a job that you want. The rest are locked off to you, because you know what? You don't have cross-class abilities anymore. You can only have one job unlocked and get it all the way to fucking 70 and have that be appropriate. You don't have to level multiple jobs. So if they wanted to do that, if they wanted to try to nickel and dime squeezing that out of people, or just pay, as Zamphier had suggested, or just pay the $14 to get the full fucking game. I think that they would try to spin that off as like this brand new hybridized MMO model. And you know what? If they do that, fuck you. Fuck you. Zamphier, I don't doubt
He's not fucking you.
I'm not saying fuck you specifically, Zamphier. I'm saying fuck Square Enix if they do that.
That's
because
what everyone should be saying.
That is a bullshit chintzy move that's done for fucking money. For fucking money.
They could sell, if you paid a monthly subscription, you get 2 weekly loots from Savage. Like every free-to-play MMO does already.
Yeah.
And they could sell you the Hildebrand quest line for $10 extra, or if you're paying the weekly sub, you get it for free.
Yeah.
As long as you're paying monthly.
Yeah, I mean, that whole idea that, Yoshi P stood on stage and said, no pay to win. Like, yeah, that only really holds up for, the next year until they start bringing out the next series of content. And I guarantee, Zamphier, I think, brings up a really great point. By the time we get to 5.0, there is a very, very good chance that we're going to see the payment method and model adjusted for this game. And it's not, I guarantee you, if they adjust it, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be what we want.
Expansion.
You think it's going to happen in Stormblood?
At 4.55. Right before the new one.
I don't see this happening till 7.0.
It depends on how quickly they shed players.
Yeah.
It's because everyone is going to quit right at the end of this for now year-long wait for actual content.
But again, people do that every expansion.
Paying for shit and then buying the new expansion. Because the expansion sales don't make that much money. What makes more money is those stupid-ass dresses they sell in the mall store for $20. Mm-hmm. Just have people buy those and they're much cheaper to make.
Yeah, well, there's no overhead. I mean, at least with a fucking expansion, they've got to print boxes out. You know what I mean? There's literally
well, you can buy digital. You don't have.
That's true. But I mean,
Square Enix still prints the boxes.
Yeah, and they make the marketing material. Right? There is cost associated with that, and there's development costs. But there's almost no one single item in FF14. How long do you think that takes to make?
A year.
Really?
It depends. If we're talking about these scythes that you have to buy per fucking job. You're quadruple dipping at that point?
I'm just saying that, there's not that much overhead dev cost associated with these small items, and then they rake it in every time.
It would take a week to make a whole full outfit for every race in the game.
Yeah.
That's how long it should take.
Should take.
Yeah.
FFXIV developers, it could take a month.
Cecil here in the chat says that they're burning players faster than they're making content. And Nika, you just said that at the end of an expansion, it's true for any MMO that people fall off. I agree with that.
Yeah, and Yoshi was actually saying, though, too, that, we should do that. Go play other games and come back. So what do they care?
We're not at the end of an expansion. We're still at the start of the expansion.
Right.
We're not going to get another item level increase till 4.2, which probably isn't going to happen until January. It's happening in the middle, the beginning of an expansion. People are falling off right now with a patch on the horizon.
The sentiment is much closer to where it was in 3.3 or 3.4 in terms of the community base, and we're at 4.1, right? In the entirety of 2.0, I don't know that it ever dipped as low as it did during 3 and the latter half of 3. And now, right out of the gate of 4.1, we're still dealing with that. There was almost no ability to regain. There was no ground that Square Enix regained between the two of them. And if it was so fucking fleeting.
I know, but we've discussed this so many times. We know the reasoning for this. It's because the reason we all stuck around and didn't have that mentality for so long in Heaven's Word is because we thought they weren't going to continue repeating the raid, the 24-man cycle that they've been doing, which we then saw that they did. And then we're like, okay, let's see what happens with 4.1. This is their last chance, and they're still repeating it. That's why I feel like I'm giving it until Eureka to see what the fuck's going on with that.
So 4.2.
Yeah, and we'll go from there because it's just...
Actually,
as much fun as I have doing the content, if it's the only content we have, it gets boring.
No,
again, it's not that the content's, and I say this in every episode. It's not that the content we have is bad. It's just that it's the only content we have, and it gets burnt out and boring. When I just wish that I could do the current rating that I have on Tuesday, Thursday, and then do something else on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, something different.
Right.
And it's just that doesn't exist in this game, and that's what we need. They know that, and for some reason they're not giving it to us, and that's where I don't understand.
For some reason part, again, I think that I've found that reason, and it's because they don't value their long-term players. What they value is they want more people coming in the door. And again, and I think that that's fucking greedy, because at some point an MMO intrinsically has to switch from trying to attract people in to trying to keep people there. Right?
I think now is that point. Like, we're in the third expansion or whatever. Now is that point.
Yes. In fact, they could have done it at 3.0. And I think it would have been muddier water at 3.0, but they could have done it at 3.0. And now that we're at 4.0, they needed to do it. This was the point where if they didn't, they would be getting people falling off. And the thing that fucking pisses me off is the fact that they had, they had 1.0 and the original launch of this game in 2010 to suss all this shit out, and they fucked it up so bad that they think that when they re-released A Realm Reborn that set the slate back. It doesn't. Like, the fact that this game is fucking 7 years old and still trying to attract new players to it is insane. It is insane. It doesn't make sense. It's aging visually. It's aging performance-wise. And what are they going to do? Nika, what are they going to do? If they don't keep the players that they have, and the game is showing its age in terms of a game, what do they market off of? What do they try to sell people on?
They're not realizing that in the eyes of a person who has never touched this game, 14 already looks like a good game. Like, they've heard people talk about how much fun it was after it sucked and then it get rebooted. Like, people hear that. They've seen all the ads for the expansions, and I see people every day on Facebook talking about how many people play this? Should I start? Like, I hear good things. Should I play? Good. Like, people who are interested in playing already know that it's a good game. So what they do need to do is switch their focus completely to retaining the long-term players, because the new players already know it's here. They already are interested, and they need to stop trying so hard on what's already been done. Like, they already have that image in people's eyes that haven't played this game before. Now, what's going to happen now is they're going to hear, oh, I just hear all my friends play it for a year and quit. That's what we don't need to hear. What we need to hear is, oh, my friends have been playing for 8 years and they don't ever want to stop. That's what new players need to hear at this point.
But that was way closer to what my experience with FF11 was, where, like, when I quit, it was more like I was sad to quit. I would not be sad to quit FF14 right now. Honestly, I wouldn't. I mean, the fact that I don't log on as much as I used to, like, it bothers me from the standpoint of, like, I want to enjoy this game, and I'm not.
Yes.
And the thing is that, like, I can only be honest with myself. I do a really, really bad job of lying to myself, because I call that shit out all the time. I'm very, very, like, as a person, that's part of my personality. Very, like, coldly honest with myself, right? That's why I don't have a lot of self-esteem. I don't lie to myself. And I can't lie to myself about how much or little I'm enjoying this fucking game to try to be able to, maintain an audience for this show. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, yeah, we're trying to make a business out of this, and our bread is buttered by FF14, but I can't fucking lie. I can't lie to myself. I can't lie to you guys. Like, that would be fucked up, and I don't want to fucking do that. But I'm saddled now. You know, I'm stuck talking about a game that I liked. I liked it 2 years ago. I don't like it that much anymore, and that drives me fucking crazy. It drives me fucking crazy, because I know that there are plenty of other people out there that feel exactly the same way. And had it not been for the fact that it's just the same fucking shit, had it not been for the fact that it's just the same fucking thing over and over and over again, they'd still find value. They would find the value out of it.
Aniro, Gokai Pink has brought a very, very new perspective on the problem. He says,
good.
Quit and unsub.
That solves everything.
Everything is solved now. Thank you so much, Gokai Pink. We never
quitting and
never
unsubbing does not solve any problems.
No, it doesn't.
I don't think people like Gokai don't realize why we continue the show. Even though I do play pretty much every day, I still don't like a lot of things about this game, and I don't think you are realizing, sir, why we continue this show even though we have issues with this game. It's clearly because quitting and unsubbing does not make this game better.
No.
We do not want this game to fail. It just is failing, and we are trying to do what we can as players to make sure that doesn't happen.
So
Because
please.
the last thing we need is to hear about how the game used to be good and it's not anymore. Like, I can tell you that until I quit 11, I was recommending 11 to new people. I would not really recommend a new player to start 14.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Yes. And that's a fucking problem.
And he says it would solve it for you. And that's wrong. Us quitting and unsubbing wouldn't solve anything for us. What that would solve is the problem people like you have with hearing dissenting opinions. When we first started this game, we fucking loved it. That's why we don't want to unsub. That's why we don't want to quit. Because we saw what it was, what it should be, and we've since see it go downhill. So no, quitting and unsubbing doesn't solve that. It doesn't give us back what we had and what we enjoyed about the game. It's just admitting defeat, that the game's a piece of shit.
The problem we have is that the game is not getting better and we want to see it succeed. How does us quitting solve that problem for us? All that does is then give me literally nothing to do, and that makes me even more bored. So no, quitting and unsubbing would not solve any problem. All it would do is, and then we're not supporting the game that we want to succeed, the game that we've stuck around with for 7 years. Like, that's not, I don't, shut up.
And I mean, you know, Gokai Pink asks, and do you still love it? Yeah, absolutely. I still love this game. I don't love playing it right now. I love this game. I love the people that I've met playing this game. I just don't like the act of playing it right now because it's been the same fucking thing. It's been exactly the same thing that I've experienced for, you know, the 2 expansions previous.
Gokai says you get burnt out taking your breaks. It's a good thing. We've all done that. We've all taken breaks and come back to this. But the thing is that when we come back, nothing has changed.
Nothing changes.
That's the issue. We're burnt out on the same. There's like, I mean, I will never stress enough how there's only one type of end game in this game. Like, the end game is not bad. It's just the only type. Like, how many, by FF11's 3rd expansion, how many different types of end game could you do? And we had a link shell for every single different thing. And on every different day of the week, I was doing a different piece of end game content.
Whoa. Are you saying you want this to be like FF11, Nico?
Oh my God, no. Like, that's the thing, is that just because FF11 had ideas that's done right does not mean, again, that I want this to be like FF11. What I want is just variety. Give me more to do at endgame. Right now, the reason new players are playing it is because the lower levels are fun. Seeing new dungeons, seeing new things, like learning the lore, that's a lot of fun. But once you hit endgame, in 11, I used to say, oh, once you hit 75, the game begins. Here I'm saying, once you hit 75, you got one thing to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and it's actually even less because, it's even less now because raids have been simplified to the same point that trials were.
And think about it this way, Gokai Pink. If we just stopped playing and we didn't complain about it and we didn't voice our grievances, do you really think that we would be getting a savage hard mode right now in 4.0?
Probably not.
No, we wouldn't.
Probably.
Because Square Enix would think everything was fine and dandy.
You got to voice your opinion if you want to be heard.
Yeah. And the thing is just, you know, saying like, oh, well, you know, just quit, just stop doing it. That doesn't actually address the problem that the game fucking sucks. That the game as a game and as an MMO has a real fucking problem of people quitting already. That's the problem we're identifying. And all you're asking us to do is add to the fucking problem and shut our mouths.
Stop this issue at all.
I'm so fucking tired of putting up with this, with anyone who puts forward the argument, well, then just shut up about it. Fuck no. How about you argue about it? How about you fucking engage about it? How about you fucking call our fucking phone number and you tell me why I'm wrong? Why not? What the fuck better do you have to do?
Better to add the problem than to let it slide? I don't understand what you're saying. You're saying you'd rather us quit? Like, nobody's letting anything slide. Because we're not quitting, we are voicing our opinion and saying, like, this is what we see in the game and this is what we want changed.
Dude, and
quitting,
you know what?
I don't understand what you're saying.
Oh, here we go. Have you done
Okay. All right.
Have I done Savage? Yes. Have I done Problem
Oh my God.
Dead? Yes.
Don't even justify that with a fucking response. Because here's the fucking thing, is that this is exactly the argument that you're met with every single time. Well, you haven't done this, so you don't really know. You know, there's so much more to do, but you're just like not really even considering it. Like, you're not considering all the fucking options. I'm so tired of this shit.
There's only one option.
I'm so tired of this shit.
With 11, when you got to the end game, you had like 8 different end game options to do. So you would just join a Dynamis Link Shell if that's what you liked, and you wouldn't do Sky or Ground Kings. You just wouldn't. Or maybe you hated Dynamis because it was boring, then you would just get a Sky Link Shell. Like, there were so many different things you could do. Or ZNMs. Or
Salvage.
like fucking Limbus. Like, there were so many different things that you could do.
Here's the only point that I will agree with Gokai Pink on, is that Square Enix doesn't care about anything except subscriber numbers. And as long as they're making their subscriber numbers, they're going to continue to do what they think is best for the game.
You're agreeing that we should all just quit, because if we all quit, then the subscriber numbers would go down.
I actually do think that there is efficacy in something like that.
But we have to arrange a mass exodus of like 80% of the players to quit on the same day for them to notice.
But that's the thing, is that I'm not going to be the one to make that call, because I also understand that the life and death of an MMO is based on its subscriber numbers. Mm-hmm. So at the risk of having something happen that's much more drastic, as our caller Zamphier is predicting, like free-to-play coming to FF14, that's why I make the choice to stay subscribed. I actually care about the quality of this game enough to give my money over to Square Enix, even if it's a game that I'm not playing or that I'm not happy with. When I finally do pull that plug, that is when I'm walking away from this game permanently, and I'm not looking back.
Yep.
That's my final straw. Once I pull my sub, that's it for me. I'm done, and I'm not looking back, because I'm not gonna do this will he won't he bullshit with whether I'm gonna sub or not. Because I fucking hate that, and that kind like that kind of consumptive pattern just bothers me as a human being. And that's an opinion. That's not fact. That's just an opinion.
No, but that sort of behavior is exactly why they're doubling down on bringing new people in. Because
exactly.
when they look at the numbers, so a Nero unsubbed, but every time he's unsubbed, he's came back in at new injection of a patch. We don't have to worry about them. They're gonna keep coming back every single time, so let's bring more people in. And this is what's gonna be the death of the game. By the time they realize, right, when it actually gets to the point where people don't start coming back, they're not going to have the long-term players to try and build up. Now they're going to have to try and double down even more on bringing new people in, and it's not going to work.
Yeah, that's really what's at the heart of this conversation, is that the tactics that Square Enix are trying to use to even retain the most amount of people and try to do what makes the best business sense for them is not going to work for all of the reasons that we've laid out. And the problem is we have no input on this game whatsoever. We get to sit around and yell about it and complain about it every week, and we have, our opinions that get put out to the community and they reverberate in some way, but that's our only small way that we can affect the development of this game. None of us actually work on this fucking game. None of us can actually challenge any of the internal data, which, by the way, we're not privy to. None of us can challenge that data with any meaningful, any meaningful method, because, you know what, we're kept at arm's length as community members, as a show, and you know what, frankly, I kind of like it that way. I don't mind. I'm not bemoaning that. I'm not complaining about being kept at arm's length. That's fine. I'm quite comfortable with that. The people who should be way more concerned about this and should be having this fucking dialogue, as far as I'm concerned, is Square fucking Enix. And guess what? The dialogue is tough. The dialogue might hurt your feelings, but guess what? It's necessary if we want to try to see a better game come out of it. Now, the sad part is that for all of the discussion that we can put forward here on Limit Break Radio doesn't necessarily make a damn bit of difference unless someone at Square Enix hears it and brings it to the table, because they're the only ones that control anything about this fucking game.
Well, and even if they do, I don't actually think that Square Enix knows how to properly dissect the information that's coming in, and you can see that when they nerf something like Steps of Faith, or when they nerf something like raiding, and then when people cry that, oh, it's too easy, you're making it too casual, they go, well, then we don't know what you want. It's like they think this is all coming from the same people, right? With Menagerie, right? They're like, look, we're not making that easy, which is great. I'm glad you did. But I feel like the way they see it is the player base can't decide. Do they want it easier? Do they want it harder?
Exactly.
The player base wants everything because the player base is everyone.
Yes, so what you need to do, Square Enix, is figure out what is best for retaining your player base.
Yes, exactly.
Boom.
Even the whole concept of bringing in new players is illogical because there is a finite amount of new players you can bring in. At some point, that well is gone.
It's done.
At best, like let's say you get every single person who would ever play in the world to play 14. What do you do then?
Get more new players.
You can't. It's gone.
They're going to have babies.
No,
Get the
not in their
babies.
mind.
But
You have to convince the people who don't even play games to only pick up this game.
Oh, so
And the way you do that is by having those people's friends play 14 and say, "What a great game!
Yes.
I've been playing this game for
Exactly.
8 fucking years."
Exactly.
Exactly.
The other approach, and Juxta, I know you're going to get mad at me, is the Nintendo approach. The Nintendo approach, where they're just like, we're gonna keep throwing things out there for new people, and that's where you get.
To be fair, Nintendo is the kiddie company,
but
so we can get them started young, like
they're the
6.
family company.
But I mean, like, fine, put out the Wii and then, make something good for it, right? Like, what Nintendo did, they put out the Wii and then there's just tons of fucking shovelware. And it ended up...
And the Wii was okay. The Wii U, I don't...
But they had that initial glut of people there that were able to make the system a success in the first place. FF14 had a good glut of people, but it wasn't it was never the most successful MMO. And so, at that point, you have to, if you want to stay alive, you've got to switch to retention. I don't know if our caller was still on the air, Zamphier, but thank you, Zamphier. We appreciate the call.
And the conversation.
Again, I really do. I want to encourage anyone that wants to challenge this, especially anyone in our chat that was trying to challenge this. And again, don't, if you call and you start throwing things around like, oh, well, have you even done Savage? Argue the fucking point. Argue the fucking point of what has FF14 brought to the table that has been different or unique from other MMOs.
And I refuse to even entertain that argument myself as someone who does do Savage, because I don't know how many times I have to say over and over and over again that there's nothing wrong with the raid we have. It's just when it is the only end game content we have, what is the point of the game at that point? Because I was talking about 11, if you would just pick and choose the end game content you wanted. Right now, there is only one piece of end game content, and if you don't like it, you're bummed. But even in the other one, there's I hate Dynamis, so I'm going to go do something else. There's none of that in this game, and that's where this game is lacking completely.
But even with 11, though, when they would add something that was derivative or influenced by a system that came before it, let's say ZNMs, right? So you had regular NMs that spawn kind of everywhere all throughout the map. You had special spawn conditions, yada, yada, yada. Every time you got a new tier of something to do, it added a twist. It added something that was slightly unique.
ZNMs, you had to go take pictures.
Exactly.
That was not the best system.
And it was
it was different.
Hang on. It was the system that people complained about the most when it was new.
Implemented.
I liked it because I could make money off pictures.
So, when it was added, it was a bit contentious because there were some people that were like, I don't want to have to go through the problem of taking pictures. But the thing is,
the rewards were bad, though. That's why.
Well, the rewards weren't great, and they could have been better. But the thing is that ZNM still had participation in them, probably through now. I mean, there was probably a ZNM that was up yesterday.
Would do ZNMs one day a week. That would be our ZNM day, and we would go do it.
And it would take, sometimes it would take 3 to 4 to 7 months to figure out, oh, this is exactly like pretty much the other content except for blank. You know what I mean? Sometimes it was really fucking obvious, like having to take pictures of mobs. Sometimes it was a little less obvious, and only through hindsight and reflection could you go, it's exactly the fucking same. But again, with FF14, it's just a straight read of it. You can go through the first Omega fight and go, yep, this is just fucking Alexander with different animations.
With FF5 glamour.
Yeah. And it's just
it's not even FF5 glamour. It's just FF5 mobs. The glamour is awful.
Even pushing myself through it felt pointless. Anyway, you can give us a call live here on the show. Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. You can challenge us on anything that we're putting out here, but